Leadership as lifestyle. Having discussed ethics and character, we can now turn to the topic of leadership. In contrast to ethics and character, leadership is a subject that necessarily involves other people. You cannot be a leader if you don't have others following you. Yet because we live in a society that allows for participation in a multitude of institutions, from work to school to church to sports, there are often many opportunities for us to be leaders. Additionally, there are many conditions under which we exist in leadership roles, whether we know it or not. As children, for instance, we might be perceived as leaders to those who are younger than us. In business, we might be perceived as leaders by those who are newer in their position than us. Leadership, then, from the perspective of society, is just as important as ethics. This is why leadership consultant John Hawkins states that leadership must be taught as a lifestyle, as something integrated into our daily behavior. Whereas ethics asks, am I doing the right thing? Am I headed in the right direction? Leadership asks, am I influencing others in the right way with my words and actions? John Hawkins explains that good leadership, quote, is comprised of character, competence, and commitment, unquote. If one wants to be a leader in the realm of relationships, for instance, one needs to have a good character, a healthy, successful relationship, and demonstrate a commitment to maintaining this goal in word and deed. In business and more formal areas of leadership, we are generally put into positions of leadership or positions that require leadership in order to be successful. This is the difference between the concepts leadership and management. Management entails a position of authority, and those in this position may or may not be effective leaders. Leaders may or may not have a formal position of authority, and generally do not engage in micro-level management. Organizational behavior theorist Edwin Locke explains that the role of a leader is to establish the basic vision of the company. They establish the purpose, mission, overarching goal, and strategy to achieve this, and they sell those involved on the idea that it is both good and a worthy end to pursue. Managers, on the other hand, organize and supervise their subordinates to ensure that they implement this vision. By surveying the many leaders of our world, from those in business to technology to politics to humanitarian causes to philosophic or religious movements, we cannot say there is one recipe or one course of action that will make a person a leader. Leaders vary in terms of their personality, their intelligence, their charisma, and their backgrounds. Leaders have been both outgoing and reserved, both humble and overconfident, both highly intelligent and of moderate intelligence, both emotional and stoic, powerful or powerless, poor and wealthy. Someone like America's founding father, Patrick Henry, or civil rights leader Martin Luther King was likely outgoing and always in the public spotlight, whereas the Dalai Lama or Nelson Mandela are known to be reserved, even introverted. Influential ruler Marcus Aurelius was extraordinarily wealthy, being the emperor of Rome, yet someone like Epictetus, who lived around the same time, or Frederick Douglass, the American abolitionist, were both great leaders of their time who were originally born into slavery. People of all different backgrounds and personalities have risen to become great leaders, often defying great odds, such as speech impediments, prison sentences, public opposition and harassment, and other tragedies. Regardless of these differences, we can identify certain things that leaders do, and we can sketch out some basic traits that leaders have. So what do leaders do? For one, leaders make the most out of what they have. They use their backgrounds and unique situations to bring people to their cause, encouraging them to adopt their vision. Those in formal positions of authority may use their authority legitimately to bring people around to their vision. Those who do not have established positions of authority, however, must rely on persuasion alone. A boss, for instance, might offer bonuses to his employees who have the greatest sales or to the stores that have the highest ratings. But some leaders have had little to no authority. They have been slaves or prisoners, as mentioned. In such cases, they have used their positions to set an example of how to live and how to face adversity in noble and courageous ways. Military leaders and leaders of political, religious, or philosophic movements have provided many examples of leadership and greatness. Nelson Mandela fought against apartheid, Martin Luther King faced imprisonment for breaking unjust laws. And Socrates, Jesus, and William Wallace of Braveheart all heroically stood against injustice when the consequences spelled almost certain death. Second, great leaders offer an inspiring vision. Great leaders influence both their followers and those who might one day join their cause. They offer an inspiring vision of what group effort and teamwork can create, whether it is a brighter future, a freer nation, a greater degree of respect, a wealthier company, etc. Often the communication of this vision requires encouraging followers that they are important, that their work is valued, and that the end goal is in fact attainable. Third, leaders challenge others to think bigger and work harder. Leaders do not just inspire and motivate, but they often challenge their followers to expand their focus, stretch their goals, and dream bigger. The leaders of the abolitionist movement did not want small concessions. They wanted the complete abolition of slavery in the whole of the United States. This was not a vision that many others at the time shared, but they made people, first in the North, then in the South, expand their focus and face the tough questions most in society were happy to evade. Bill Gates, when he saw what the personal computer could do for society, vowed not to stop his work until a computer was found in every home in America. Today that vision has been realized. At the time he formed it, however, computers took up entire buildings, and one could not understand why a family would want a computer or how it would fit in their house. We turn now to motives and traits of great leaders. While we said there is no template for how to become a great leader, we can identify certain motives and certain traits the majority of good leaders have. First, good leaders often have an abundance of drive, energy, and ambition. They believe deep down in the rightness of their cause and the value it could bring to others. Internally, this conviction drives them not to rest until their vision is achieved. This leads to the second trait all leaders have, namely tenacity and a proactive pursuit of their goals. Leaders are individuals who do not just think and plan, they act and move steadfastly in pursuit of their goals. A third trait all leaders have is that they have a strong desire to lead. With deep belief, confidence, and the drive to act in the name of their cause, leaders are willing to step forward to gather, unite, and direct others towards this common end. Some leaders may be reluctant to lead at first. Thomas Jefferson, for instance, had little interest in politics, but believing strongly in the cause of liberty and recognizing the urgent threat facing the nation, he left his life on the farm to lead his nation in the defense of liberty. A fourth trait leaders have is honesty and integrity. Honesty means recognizing the facts of reality and not pretending them to be any different than what they are. We can delude ourselves just as we can trick others. Honesty means recognizing and speaking the truth and never trying to gain from deceit. A dishonest policy is a disastrous policy because it leads you on a crash course with reality. Integrity requires not just honesty, but that one live according to one's professed values. A person with integrity lives according to unwavering principles and acts with consistency. Leaders who possess the virtues of honesty and integrity can be trusted to always do their best and to act in the name of justice. The last trait we'll cover is that leaders have a high degree of genuine self-confidence. Self-confidence is a conviction that one is competent and capable of producing successful results. It is the belief that one is efficacious in life generally and in one's job specifically. Self-confidence is not something one acquires in a short amount of time. It is something that develops over a long period of time. One earns self-confidence, which is at once a belief, feeling, and demeanor, when one has performed thousands of tasks, made thousands of decisions, considered thousands of thoughts, and solved thousands of problems, and made just as many mistakes. Self-confidence enables one to take on great challenges, accept grave responsibilities, and cope with potentially stressful situations.